Welcome to the Average Australian Podcast.
Oh, what a fabulous volley from Tim Cahill! You will not see a better goal than that at the World Cup this summer.
Oh,
Big
great
save.
save again by
It's a
Swanson!
huge save.
Cahill! Tim Cahill has done it again!
My drop for Fornaroli! Oh, that is simply brilliant!
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Average Australian Football Podcast. This is episode 27. It's a big week in the A-League. We're heading into the final round of the regular season. Finals are soon approaching. We've also got less than 10 games left in the EPL. We've got Champions League back in action with the FA Cup soon to return as well. To discuss all of that and much, much more, I am joined once again by Edin. Hello sir, how are you?
Very well. Yourself?
Oh, I'm not bad, hanging out for the public holidays.
Tell me about it. Four days off,
I
hey?
know.
How good is that?
It's like a dream.
And there's plenty of football on, right?
There is, it's a
Sweet.
good period if you take away the results of a certain teams.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that, I'm sure.
I'm sure we will. Where do we start? I guess let's start with some good news. Announced that Liverpool will be travelling to Sydney to take on Sydney FC, the champions. It's actually quick, really soon, May 24th, which means that the Liverpool players don't get too much of a break before they play that game. If anything, I think it's straight after the season finishes.
Yeah, I think that's the way like that Chelsea tour kind of happened as well, wasn't it? When it was still Mourinho with Chelsea, they kind of came straight away. And I think that's not bad because you're going to see a good team.
Yeah, exactly.
If they bring their full strength side, they'll still be in form. And I think you will see a good match. But it's weird, that one kind of just came out of the blue.
It did, yeah.
But
Sounds
I think
like Steven Gerrard's going to play as well.
Yeah, and look, I think it's just to be honest. I mean, I think after Liverpool came that first time, and they got 100,000, the dollar signs just lit up in their eyes. We're like, yeah, we got to go back to Australia soon. So I was surprised by that, but I think that's going to be huge. And like I said, May 24th. I think there's going to be a big crowd for that one compared to, say, the Arsenal visit.
Yeah.
I don't know how that one's doing ticket-wise, but, with so much uncertainty there, that's going to be an interesting one.
I went to the Arsenal friendly in Singapore. I think it was 2 years ago now, maybe 3. And it was like a regular preseason game, and they only brought like a couple of the first team, and like it was a great atmosphere, right? Because I've never seen Arsenal in person, but it's a bit different like in May because you are going to get the Coutinhos, the Firminos, providing they're not injured. So I mean, it's going to be fantastic. Are you like tempted to go at all?
I kind of am actually. For me, I'll go see, even if Man United came or Chelsea or something like that. If the opportunity was there, I'd be tempted because it's still an EPL side, and
especially Liverpool though, right? Because they're a big club. You never walk alone. Like the atmosphere behind that, like you saw Melbourne, right?
That's
100,000 singing that song. Like even if you're neutral, you go, wow.
Yeah, that's right. That's the only thing for me is that I'd feel a little bit left out because I'm not a Liverpool diehard. So you'd probably see people there like crying and stuff, and I'd be like, "Oh, this is pretty cool," but I wouldn't go any further.
Man
than
up,
that
you
for
bitch!
Me. Like people would get into it, and I'd feel like a little bit left out because I don't feel that love. If they, like you said, if Steven Gerrard plays. Everyone would just be going crazy for him and stuff. And I'd be like, oh, cool, it's Steven Gerrard.
Exactly right.
But still, like you said, I'm tempted to go. It just depends on the ticket price and all that. But it looks interesting, that's for sure.
Let's kick off and we'll just briefly touch on the Australian teams inside the Asian Champions League. Mixed results as per usual. Brisbane, I think they've held on against Kashima Antlers.
Looks like it, yeah.
Yeah, 2-1, which means that they're still last, but only 4 points behind. On 4 points, only 2 points behind the Antlers. Which they're on top, so they've beaten the top team, which is impressive. 2 games to go, very tight group. What do you think? Do you think they'll get through?
They've got a chance now. I mean, that's a big performance. It's been a good week for the Aussie teams in the ACL. Wanderers, and even the Wanderers, they lost, but I thought they were pretty good overall. They were there or thereabouts, but they couldn't get the job done. But Adelaide, I watched the second half of that match, and they were brilliant. That's an Adelaide, and you just wonder Is a Moore's style maybe, or the way Adelaide play, maybe more suited to Asian Champions League, where it's a bit different to the A-League. A-League's just frantic. And A-League is just frantic, helter-skelter, whereas the ACL is a bit more slower, a bit more tactical, a bit more nuanced. I mean, obviously there's better players. It's a higher level, higher strategic level. And Adelaide were brilliant. Like they were so good.
It's just hard to know, like, is it the tactics or is it just the atmosphere has improved so dramatically? Like, the new signings have come in and you've seen the whole impact on the team. And, I mean, if the A-League itself extended for another 8 weeks, they could slip into a finals. So, I mean, it's just they've, like, hit form a little bit too late.
Well, and that's the interesting point that you make is like you look at it and you go, well, you wouldn't pick that this is like a team that was bottom of the ladder up until like a week ago and was in crisis and the manager's probably going to leave at the end of the season because they looked united, they played well. I think definitely the signings have boosted them. You know, I'll admit I questioned them a little bit when they came in towards the end of the season and obviously a little bit too little too late. But again, Diawara, like, just so impressive. Like he didn't do much last night in the sense that he wasn't brilliant or anything like that, but I think it was more his work off the ball and holding it up and just being a target man and those little things that maybe go unseen by some people but are probably valued a lot by the team and the coach. I thought he was outstanding. And their Korean import was brilliant as well. That goal was just an absolute cracker. I think if they can hold on to those two guys for next season, things are looking good for them.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because, like, I was highly critical. This was maybe only 2 months ago. I'm saying, like, what's the point of them signing them because the season's done? But, I mean, you look at Newcastle Jets and you go, well, does this good mood put them in a better position at the start of next season? Like, maybe it does travel across. And you've seen what Newcastle are going through. There's questions on Mark Jones, which we may talk about later. But, like, I mean, maybe this gives them, like, a 6 or 9 point head start over a team like Newcastle just because of how good the mood is around the club.
Yeah, and look, I don't think Adelaide were ever bad like Newcastle are. I think it was more just they had a tough start. They had a few tough fixtures at the start and injuries, and they just didn't recruit well. And now that they've got their recruitment right and they've actually got a proper striker and a really good attacking midfielder in Kim, I think it is, the Korean import, and Thirio's back now. I mean, don't forget, Thirio did his knee round 2 or something like that. He was out for the whole season. Karuska was out at
Disappointing
the start.
about Elrich, eh?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, now Elrich is out. But, you know, I just think things didn't work out for them at the start of the season, but they've shown they've bounced back, which I think is still counts for a lot. Whereas I think you look at teams like Newcastle, they're just in a shambles. But interesting rumours still swirling around Adelaide coaching. The latest one is, I think, Batistuta.
Yeah.
Apparently he's flying into Adelaide, or he might have already flown into Adelaide for a bit of a visit.
Does he have actually like a history of the managing positions? Or
No,
is
apparently he's never. I don't think he's ever been a manager. It's interesting because apparently after he finished up football, he actually lived in Perth.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
he lived in Perth for 4 or 5 years, and apparently that was because he wanted to get away from Argentina. He wanted to live as far away as possible from anyone that would know him.
Okay.
And I think he just wanted to get away from it all, and I think he found Perth, and I think for a while there, the Glory would every now and then just go, "Oh, hey, you wanna come down and do a bit of coaching or whatever," and he always turned them down. So it's interesting now that his name's being floated. I think it's risky because he doesn't know the A-League probably, and he doesn't have much coaching experience, but he has that aura. Being a legendary player, so and keeps that sort of South American connection going for the Reds as well. So that's an interesting one. I'm curious to see what happens there.
Yeah, time will tell. I mean, you could bring in a really experienced assistant coach and help him out and let him grow in the role. I mean, we saw Pep do it with Barcelona. So I think,
and that was the plan. I think they said they would back him with a really good local Aussie support team, including the assistant. But I think the other thing is, I wouldn't write him more off. I think he's bounced back, and I think it might be a different story for them next season. I think there's been a lot of lessons learned for Adelaide this year, and if he was to go around again, I'd actually back him in.
Did you ever feel like the decision wasn't his, though? I always felt like if he was going to leave, it's because he wanted to go back.
Yeah, I think it was all about him. I think obviously he won the league last year. They love him. He's a legend, Barcelona legend. He's got connections all over the world, it was definitely up to him, and I think that's where it's at now. That I think he might leave just because he probably wants to go back home and things like that. But honestly, I think I'd back him to go round again actually now, because I think he'd do things differently, and I think it would be a different story for Adelaide next year. But like I said, it's probably up to him, so they don't really have much chance probably.
Yeah, this season actually still going for them. They are second, 8 points behind Jiangsu Suning, which they're killing at 12 points. They haven't lost a game, but could easily go through in second, which, their season still well and truly alive. Let's kick on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, to round 26. Adelaide did happen to lose to an absolute incredible Tim Cahill header. He's pretty much leading Melbourne City on his own right now, because Melbourne City, for all their results they've gotten occasionally off and on, they still seem so haphazard about how they go forward. Like Fornaroli, we can talk about him. My question is, do you think he actually gets dropped this week? And I feel like he's not that far away from not being in the first team.
I think that would be a huge call, and I don't think Valkanis has the guts to do it. I don't think so. If it was Van Schip, he might. Van Schip dropped Sorensen just like that, so I think he'd have the authority. I don't know if Valkanis does, but definitely I think you saw that game there. Fornaroli was just having running battles with half the Adelaide side, going down all the time and play acting. And I think a lot of that's just frustration, like massive frustration. He's not getting the ball. He's not getting chances. And it's just building up. I don't think he'd get dropped. I think it's really just on the onus is on the coach to find the system that works. And this is
I think if they haven't found it by now, it's just not going to happen.
Well, and that's what I don't understand. Like, it worked so well at the start of the season, or it seemed to, but this is the problem with the A-League. When you bring in a marquee, you have to shoehorn him into the side.
You do,
And Cahill's been good. Cahill's been really good, but I think it's been at the expense of Fornaroli. So
detriment, yeah.
So you look at it and you go, well, if Cahill didn't play, would City be better? And the same was like with Del Piero when he came here, like especially in that first season. Del Piero was brilliant. But if he didn't play, Sydney might have actually been even better as a side. So it's just one of those situations. But it's I don't know. It's a tough call for the coach, I think, to drop Fornaroli. That would be a big call.
Yeah, big call. It's just difficult to see what Melbourne City do. They got a week to correct their mistakes. They have got top four sewn up. So, it's a credit for them to bounce back, because things didn't look certain for that to happen. They probably still would have expected internally to finish the top two. But, on their night, they may do something. It's just difficult to see how, unless, Tim Cahill pops in.
Yeah, I just think the energy's gone. I think on paper, at the start of the season, they were the favourites, or they should have been the favourites, or at least top two. And ever since that FFA Cup, it just really fell away for them big time. The ideas ran out, and the discipline kind of went, and it was such a promising start, and it all just really fell away for them. So, for a while there, I still held out hope in saying that, look, on their day, they can still beat anyone because they're such an exciting team. But now I don't even think that's the case. They're grinding out results against your Adelaides and these kind of teams, but up against a Sydney or even a Melbourne Victory now, I can't see them doing the job.
The concern for me is that I don't feel like they have like a home advantage.
No.
You don't really see like them play differently, more expressive at home. So I think that's going to cause problems in the final.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's carry on. We saw Wellington draw with the champions 1-1. It was actually a pretty good performance. Unfortunately for them, it doesn't really mean much. They just left it too late, I guess. And 1-1 is a good result, but I guess the big thing for them with Bonavaccio leaving.
Yeah.
Where do you think Wellington go from here? Because they finished 7th, which is perhaps what people expected them to do when you look at the balance of things. Because I assume most people thought Wanderers would finish a little bit higher than what they were. Do you think Wanderers can improve on 7th next season, or is it like it's going to be difficult to rebuild, find a new manager?
Well, that's the thing for Wellington. Like, with such a long off-season, like anything, they could be out of the A-League. They could just be gone by the end of the start of next season. Like, anything could happen. It's tough to rebuild when, everything's in limbo for them. But I think it's been a disappointing season for them. I mean, I think on paper, again, they should have been top four. Bonavacia, Krishna, they bought Barbarouses, they bought Finkler. They and the rest of their team was like always pretty decent as well. McGlinchey and the like. I think they should have been a top four side. And again, tough draw at the start, bit of bad luck. Ernie Merrick had to fall on his sword. It never really got better for them after that. It seems to have now at the end, but again, too little, too late. And what's going to happen to them next season? Like, who the hell knows? Like, they're all over the place at the moment.
Difficult to call.
Yeah, difficult to call. I really think so.
Yeah, Sydney obviously take the point and just keep building for the finals now. Carrying on, we saw the Wanderers and Victory carry out a 0-0 draw. The red card didn't really have the impact that I thought it would. I expected Wanderers to go on and score a goal, given the form that they're in. Miss a chance to go, like, really push for that top four position as well. Do you think that's just, like, indicative of, like, the Wanderers this season? Like, they've just drawn too many games. They, as good as Santalab has been in the last 2 months, like, they still consistently, I think, have problems scoring goals when he's off song. Yeah,
and look, and that's the thing, like, I mean, as good as he is, he's not that out-and-out just week-to-week goal scorer. And, disappointing for the Wanderers because they had really been building over the last few weeks some really impressive performances. And now you look at that and it's a draw against the Victory, a loss in the ACL, and all of a sudden they're kind of, back to sixth in the A-League and out of form again all of a sudden. But I thought that was actually a pretty good game, Wanderers Victory. It was quite end-to-end. It was just both teams lacked the cutting edge. And Victory are in the same position at the moment.
You concerns about them going into the finals?
Well, they just look flat.
They do.
And I don't know why or what's happened, but Berisha looks flat. Rojas has gone quiet, and I think so much of Victory was based on Rojas, his energy going forward and him creating chances for the likes of Berisha. Troisi kind of, got the Socceroos call up. Maybe that went to his head or something because he's been super quiet since. And when you look at the form ladder, Victory have now, in their last 3 games, they've only got the 1 draw and 2 losses. And in their last 6, it's been 3 losses, a draw and 2 wins. So, it's really dried up for them. It's just at the wrong time of the season. It really is.
I mean, we were talking about at the start of the season how up and down Berisha has been. I mean, like he had that mid point of the season where he really caught on. But I mean, there's still the same sort of question marks over his like consistency. And you talk about Rojas, when he stops scoring goals, like suddenly that free flowing Melbourne Victory attack, it looks a little stale because they don't really change how they play. Like I mean, it is fairly consistent.
Yeah, they're just always 110% full blast, and without Rojas there, he was really the cornerstone of so much that they did. And Berisha's been hit and miss. Kalfala's been hit and miss. He started off slow, found some form again in the middle of the season. He's tapered off a little bit. Troisi's kind of been flat, and probably like they're two defensive midfielders that have been strong for them in recent times, Broxham and Valeri, they've probably gone off the boil a little bit as well. But you look at the Golden Boot standings. Rojas is on 12 goals and 11 assists. Now, that's staggering.
That's fantastic.
So it just shows you, okay, Berisha's on 18 goals, but that's a lot of penalties.
How many do you think it pens? Like 7 or 8?
Something like it's got to be around 6 or 7 at least. I know Fornaroli's has been about the same, about 8 or so. And a lot of Berisha's goals have been off the back of Rojas or Troisi. And so it's just worrying signs for Victory because, again, I thought, Victory, they might not win the league, but they're super attacking, they're strong, they're potent. Sydney, even though they're going to dominate the league, should be worried in the finals. But now I just really feel like Sydney are untouchable, even in the finals. I think they can account for Melbourne Victory quite easily now.
Yeah, it depends. Like I think the big danger game is the Western Sydney Sydney derby, but it depends what Wanderers show up on the night. I think that game is going to happen at some point in the finals, and it'll be interesting to see what occurs because I don't think City or Victory.
If it's a Western Sydney grand final, wow, that could be epic.
I think it might be honestly.
It's a possibility.
I think the only team that could upset the apple cart, so to speak, is perhaps the Brisbane Roar if they get the home finals.
Yeah, which I think they will, because I think even if Glory can't get into the top 4 now, because even if they win, they got to make up a 6 goal difference against Brisbane. They got to jump from -1 to 5.
Well, they've got to beat City by like 3 or 4, and then Brisbane have to lose by a couple.
Yeah, so I don't see that happening. So I think the top 4 is locked in. And so, like you said, Wanderers, if they can win against City, perhaps, which I think they can, me too. Then it really does open the door for a Western Sydney final at some stage, and I think that will just be epic.
Yeah, I think it's the best outcome if like the Melbourne teams are in this sort of form.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's move on. Glory pretty much picked apart Brisbane Roar, really. The question is, like, what has the game given Perth Glory? Because, I mean, they're in the top 6 confirmed, but there's question marks over Castro's injury. I mean, this gives me flashbacks to last season because this is almost identical to what happened to Diego Castro. They got into the finals but lost him. And you see Glory without Castro, and it's a completely different team. There's obviously still question marks over Keogh and Taggart. Keogh obviously scoring. But what do you think of Glory, like, going into the finals? Because, top 6, but did you see them beating, like, who if they play? They'd play a City, like, realistically.
Yeah, look, I mean...
at Brisbane, probably.
Yeah, that will be a tough one for them. I mean, obviously, they've just knocked over Brisbane, but Brisbane rested a lot of players. Glory, I guess they had to go for the win to give themselves any shot at the top 4. They had to go for it. And they did all they could pretty much. They won the game quite convincingly. So they did their part there, but obviously not enough. And now if like you said, if Castro's missing, they're in trouble because you saw last season, I mean, that's how much they needed him, that they basically played him on one leg. And he just couldn't deliver, and cost them the game in the end, their reliance on him. Taggart's gone super quiet. Keogh hit and miss. Williams dropped off a little bit again.
It's probably the best their defenses looked for a while.
Yeah.
Like, as a team, like, not individually, but, like, as a team, they looked okay. And I think you talked about them having to win this game. I think purely because Brisbane and Melbourne City, the next 2 games, are who they're going to play in that first week of finals. So they have to send a message. Like, even if it doesn't get them into the top 4, they've got to, show these teams that they can beat them. Yeah,
and look, I mean, the final series might suit the Glory because they're just going to go all guns blazing, all out attack and have a shootout, and that might very well suit them. They're the only team in the top 6 with a negative goal difference. And they've scored 48 goals.
I know.
That's the second highest. Or the third highest, but they've conceded 49. I mean,
atrocious.
Yeah, like you said, I think they've tidied things up at the back a little bit, but it's just been way too many goals being leaked. I think in the finals that might not matter if they can outscore the other team, but it just really depends on what Glory rock up on the day, because I think that's just been the story of their season, and Kenny Lowe's managerial career is just
sporadic.
It's just, that's right. Just, pretty much. It's just, do whatever you can. And that's the tactics. Just go there and play.
It's out of the book of Arsene Wenger.
That's right. Yeah, you know the drill. Just go out there and play.
Be expressive.
Express yourself. And look, I mean, I don't know, like, is Kenny Lowe in the firing line to get sacked if they finish 5th and get knocked out first week of the finals?
I think he should go. I think even if they win the first week against like a City or a Raw and then lose to, say, Victory or Sydney, I think he should go because I still question their identity, and they're off and on too much. There's no structure, and I just think there needs to be new, fresh ideas.
He can't take him any further, can he?
No, I don't think so. I don't think they can win a title with him. So, no. I mean, what's he there for now?
I'll give him credit. He's good at assembling a squad.
Yeah.
And he's good identifier of talent. Like his squads have been strong, and he
seems to be good at man management too, right? Like, if they don't come out bad mouthing him, he doesn't have rows with his players.
That's right. On that front, he's been pretty good. But like I said, I just question it tactically, and I just can't see them. Yeah, like I said, unless they spend $10 million and get all the best players, I can't see that's his only strategy for winning is just get all the best players.
Can you imagine Kenny Lowe trying to navigate an Asian Champions League group stage?
No, I couldn't see it. So, I mean, yeah, I question it, and I question whether he will be around next season. Because I think Glory, again, on paper, looked like a top 3, top 4 side.
Yeah.
With their recruits. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they go in the finals, actually.
Yeah, I think the big problem, obviously, is defensively, and that typically is tactics and structure.
Yeah,
and,
look, I'm not writing them off yet, but yeah.
I think even if they do well, and by well, I mean even make the finals but lose, I think they need a change.
Sack Kenny?
Sack Kenny. Hashtag Sack Kenny. I want to see it trending.
All right.
Let's go into the final game, the dead rubber. I said this would be the highest scoring. It wasn't. Glory was, obviously. But the Mariners easily better than Newcastle Jets, and not at all surprising, really.
Well, here's one where the coach, I think, is in dire straits, Mark Jones.
He's walking the plank. Yeah,
it's really fallen apart for him big time. And yeah, I mean, for the Mariners then to come in and knock them off 2-0 like that, like fairly easily as well.
It's been like 900 days since they won an F3 derby or something.
That's right. I mean, I just think he's in a bit of trouble. Obviously, there's been word from the Chinese owners they're prepared to spend more money again for next season. The new rumour now is that they're going after Castro. Did you see this one?
I did see that, yeah.
Honestly, I think that's short-sighted from Newcastle. That's a typical
it's too short-term.
Yeah, it's a typical knee-jerk reaction. Too lazy, or it's just too hard to go out there and identify a talent like Castro. There's hundreds of Castros out there.
With better hamstrings.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, that's right. And there's hundreds of them. But, again, it's just that knee-jerk reaction. Oh, Castro's good. He knows the A-League. He's easy to get. He's been in Australia. And he's 35. Glory will offer him a good contract. But if these guys just throw $1 million at him, he'll move to Newcastle. But I just think that's short-sighted. I mean, go and find another Castro. There's heaps of them. There's all these players like Berisha, Broich, Castro, Andy Keogh, Roy O'Donovan. There's hundreds of them around the world. Like, you just got to find them. And I think it's just so short-sighted for them to go after Castro now. I think it would be a bad move. He'll be 36, I think, next year. Maybe even 37, is it?
Yeah.
I think it's a bad recruitment, especially if they're going to pay hand over fist for him. I think it's a bad decision. But look, the question still is, who's even going to be the coach next year? Because if Mark Jones isn't the coach, why are they recruiting players? You know what I mean? Like, who's doing the recruitment in the club? So it's all up in the air for Newcastle, but they're at rock bottom now.
Yeah, completely.
For teams like, Central Coast, you can forgive them for having the season that they had. They've got a lot of youngsters, and they've been exciting at times, and they've kept persevering. Adelaide have turned it around big time. And Newcastle have just keep digging that hole. Yeah. It's horrible for them.
It's frustrating because I think 6 weeks ago they probably had the brightest future going into next season, and every goodwill they had is diminished entirely, and it's difficult to see. Like, you don't know what sort of effect this has on like players like Naboo. I mean, he's gone dead quiet, but are they looking for the door out? Like, what's happening there? Something's happened. It just feels like. Is it even the manager's fault where the players have just like switched off mentally? Like, do they just like at that point think, well, top 6 is gone, let's just ride out the season? It's hard to really know what's happened internally.
It has to be a little bit like that, doesn't it? I mean, like you said, what happened to Naboo? He was favourite to be the player of the year, player of the season, and all this sort of stuff, and it just all of a sudden just dried up for him. And along with that went all of Newcastle's momentum, and who knows what's been happening behind the scenes. But yeah, you got to question the manager when he's struggling to get the players up when they were in the running. They were right up there in the mix. And I think they had those couple of games where they didn't get the results and it all of a sudden went bad for them. So there's huge question marks over them now. I think they need a clean out. Like these guys like Coco, he's got to go. Like he's done nothing.
He was tragic.
Nordstrom's been good, but not good enough. He's probably got to go. They need some fresh faces, and I think they need a managerial change as well. They need a wholesale clean out, Newcastle.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see the same sort of changes at Newcastle that we expect from Wellington, to be honest. I think both teams are in need of a massive rehaul. We'll talk about, obviously, transfers and stuff later on. We could perhaps come back if there's been some big team news. But let's kick on to round 27, the final round of the A-League season. Who knew we'd cover a whole A-League season podcast? It's been good. Let's kick off to the Good Friday game. It's at 5:50 p.m. I think that's Perth time, perhaps. I think it's 7:50 your time. Victory playing the Central Coast Mariners. I guess this game is kind of interesting in the fact that Victory, I mean, this is the perfect game for Victory to get some confidence back, especially in front of goals. Mariners obviously coming off the win. Do you think this is fairly straightforward for Victory, and do you think if they happen to draw or lose this, like what impact does it have like on them going forward? Because I mean they've got the home final, but I mean if they can't turn over the Mariners, there's some serious problems.
Yeah, I think that'll affect their mentality big time, and like you said, this should in theory be an easy win for them and a way for them to bounce back. But I think it'll be an exciting game. I think Mariners will give it to them at the start. And then they'll probably fade away and Victory might overrun them. But I'm actually looking forward to this game. I think it'll be all right. Mariners are exciting. They're an exciting team. And last game of the season, nothing to lose really except that the chance to not finish in last place. I think Mariners will go out and make a good start. They'll probably fade away towards the end, and I think Victory will be desperate. I think they really will. They need to win this, really, even though they've got second place locked up and whatever. I think they have to win it in a way, like you said, just for their own confidence. Yeah,
I think it's a must-win. Just purely because of the impact it has going forward, and because it's at home. I think the Mariners will score. But I expect Victory to score like 2 or 3. I'm predicting probably a 3-1 to Victory, but it'll be very tight.
Yeah, I think that sounds fair.
Yep, let's kick on. The Saturday game, Sydney FC take on the Newcastle Jets. We'll just cover this game real quick. I think Sydney will probably 3 or 4.
Oh, look, and the thing for Sydney is they're going to unveil the Premier's plate. So they're going to, I guess, give them that. The FFA is going to hand that over probably before the game. So you'd expect Sydney FC to be on a high, and going into the finals...
Do you think they fully rest?
No, I don't think they will. I don't think Graham Arnold's that kind of a manager to let them do that. And I don't think you want to mess with... I'm that kind of believer. Like, you don't want to mess with that stuff.
Because it does affect momentum, doesn't it?
That's right, yeah. I wouldn't. And I think they could beat the Newcastle Jets 5-0. Like, this could just be a procession, you know. They get the Premier's plate, they go into party mode, and the Jets just capitulate, and it could be like a 5-0 for Sydney FC. And if that's the result, then, you know, watch out come finals time. That they're going to end up, if they win that, they end up on 66 points. They've got a goal difference of 41 with one loss for the season. Like, I think they're just going to slaughter the Jets.
Yeah, me too. I think it'll just be a party. I think it'll be good atmosphere inside the ground.
Yeah.
Celebrations, and yeah, I expect Sydney to, you know, I mean, they could even put 7 or 8 past them, to be honest, depending on what team they put out.
Anything. Mark Jones will have to put the boots on. I'll show you how it's done.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be interesting. The second game, it's the 7:50 Adelaide United versus the Wanderers. It's difficult. Like, do you think winning is that important for the Wanderers or Perth Glory this week, assuming top 4 is locked up? I mean, does playing Melbourne City or Brisbane Roar have a big impact on either team, do you think?
Not really. I wouldn't have thought so. I think, like I said...
It might be tougher to play in Brisbane.
I would have thought so as well. Suncorp's an intimidating ground, and Brisbane will get a good crowd there, and I think the way Brisbane have been playing like they did in the ACL, like, it's just... You know, McLaren's hit top form all of a sudden now.
Almost like he's playing for a new club.
Yeah, it's almost like the contract saga's behind him, and he's been great. They got Holman back. Christensen's been good for them all season. So I think to play Brisbane Roar might actually be tougher than a Melbourne City side that just looks flat and disinterested.
Yeah, ironically, finishing 6th might be better.
That's right. So, maybe we'll see. I don't know. But I think Adelaide United are a good chance to knock over the Wanderers here anyway. They're riding the momentum now.
Yeah.
And again, there's that motivation of at least not finishing last and giving your fans something. And I think you might see I'll give it a draw, I think, actually. The Wanderers might still snag something here. I'll give them a draw.
Yeah, I think it'll be a score draw. It'll be an entertaining game, and look out for Amoy's reaction after the game, because I think we might have a good insight on whether he's gone.
Well, and that's the thing, like you said, they haven't, if he's leaving, they haven't sort of announced any farewell for him or anything like that. So, it'll be interesting to see if he waves goodbye.
Exactly. Hopefully they give him a good reception, right? Because he does deserve it. Yeah. Going on to the Sunday game, this game perhaps could have been so much better had the Wanderers, Wellington, knocked off Sydney, but they do play Brisbane Roar in Brisbane. It'd be interesting to see Wellington's mentality, because they'll be disappointed. Motivation's probably gone. With that in mind, in Brisbane's midweek form, I expect them to comfortably beat Wellington Phoenix.
I think so. I mean, the only question will be if they tire a little bit, but coming from Wednesday through to Sunday, I think they should be fine. And like you said, Wellington last week was their big chance. This week, not much to play for. If Brisbane Roar get on top of them early, then that's probably the end of it for the Phoenix. They'll probably just want to go home. So I think Brisbane have still got all to play for. They could finish third. Don't think that matters much, but they could finish third. They're in good form, and I think they want to keep that momentum going as well. So should be a cruisy win for the Roar.
Yeah, I think Brisbane comfortably. And we've got the final game of the round for me, Perth Glory versus Melbourne City. I actually do think this game is going to be a repeat next week, so these teams will play each other twice, in my opinion.
Yeah.
This time in Perth. How bad is Diego Castro? Do you know if he's has there been a diagnosis? Has anything happened with the...
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, neither.
I don't know if they just took him off as a precaution or what's happening, but I think if he's 50-50, they got to rest him. This is... I think this is going to be huge. This is, like you said, definitely the game of the round. And like you said, if these teams are actually going to play each other again next week, which it's looking very likely.
It's almost certain, right? Because Brisbane will win, and if this game's a draw or Perth Glory win, this is a repeat.
So I think this is... I think it's going to be a cracking game. I think Glory can knock them off at home, and that's the danger then if they'll knock them off at home and then go away and City will have learnt their lesson maybe and knock them off away. But I think Glory can do the job at home.
It's hard to see either team getting the same result 2 weeks in a row against each other, because they're both so inconsistent. They both have massive problems in different areas, and you see Perth winning here. It's hard to see them in the second week going and beating them again.
That's right. And look, I mean, that's the only thing I can say is that the Glory, I think, would rather play City than Brisbane, definitely. And I think the Glory do have a chance if they go to Melbourne in the finals. There's a couple of things. One, you've got the Tim Cahill factor, which is a big factor, especially for a weak defence like the Glory. Cahill can score goals.
Fornaroli's got a bit of history against the Glory in finals.
And he's a goal scorer, and he's good at winning penalties. He's good at winning fouls. There could be a bit of niggle in this one as well. I'm going to tip the Glory in this one. I don't know if... I'm not seeing anything about Castro yet in the news.
442 says that Kenny Lowe gives him the okay. I don't know how true this is, but...
Yeah, look, I mean, if there's any doubt, I think they'd want to rest him and save him for next week. But... if he's ready to go, then you might as well play him and get the run into his legs. But I think Glory will win this. I think this is going to be a cracker. The Glory, I'm just looking at the Glory website now. They're predicting a shootout.
Yeah.
And I think if it is a shootout, Glory are probably in better form at the moment than City. So I'm going to give it to the Glory in this one.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because in some respects, I think Perth will do better in Melbourne against them than at home for some reason.
Tough to call this one, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Perth will win. I don't think it's going to be like the 4 or 5 goals required to get fourth.
Oh, no, they won't. No, it'll be like a 3-2 or something like that. I think there'll be plenty of goals from both sides, though.
I just hope to see Taggart get in some form, because I think Glory, without him, they're just too predictable. And I mean, you know, Castro's going to get man-marked against like the better teams in the top 6. So it's up to Keir and Taggart to really push on here, because I mean, Perth Glory are going to go out in straight sets, so to speak, if they don't.
yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, this one. Like I said, I'll give it to the Glory at home in this one, but we'll see for next week.
Yeah, let's see. We'll leave the A-League right there. It's obviously a huge week coming up, and the finals, we'll be talking all about it. So let's move on while we can to the EPL. We missed the Thursday night games back on the 6th. And we also obviously got the results on the weekend. So I guess we'll push through quickly. The big result midweek, this was last week, was Chelsea beating Man City. I think it pretty much confirms them as the champions. Obviously, there's still a lot of games to go, especially with Spurs in the form that they are. But you think Chelsea's got this right now?
Oh, yeah, I think so now. I mean, look, Tottenham, I wouldn't write them off. They're still impressive. But yeah, I mean, it's Chelsea's to lose, and if you're knocking off teams like Man City with relative ease,
they do play United though this weekend.
Yeah, and look, United have been they've been okay recently, but they've gotten a lot of draws, and they've been struggling in front of goal as well. I think Chelsea should knock over United. I mean, obviously it'll be interesting for the Mourinho factor and all of that, but yeah. I think Chelsea should do the business there as well, and it's theirs to lose now.
It feels like he's aged like 10 years at Man United. You see, like, he's changed what he wears. He used to be suits and clean cut. Now he's like track suits and beard, and it's not going well for him.
Hotel.
Exactly.
Just take a swig out of a gin bottle while he's at the press conference. It's all falling apart for him. And then, of course, he just decides to lay into Luke Shaw, was it?
That's so bizarre.
What?
He's like, you see that comment? It's about how like it's my brain, and he's just using his legs. I'm like, what?
I was telling him where to. Yeah, it's like I don't know. Like, is he trying to like do a bit of reverse psychology or something on him here and actually like motivate him or something? Or
I just don't think he's a good person.
He's just a dick.
That's what I think.
But I mean, Luke Shaw hasn't been the best.
He got his legs snapped in half like a year ago.
Yeah, look, but I just think this is also the problem that you're going to see now in the EPL now. English players get overvalued.
Oh, easy. They always do.
And if Luke Shaw was like someone else from some other country, he'd be, he wouldn't have this kind of reputation, to be honest.
No. I mean, he's on like 140k a week.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
That's right. And not only that, but I think after the comments from Mourinho, like all these other teams are like, oh, we'll buy him. Like everyone needs to have their English quota now. So yeah. I just think there's a little bit of that, but yeah, Mourinho always just has to have his dig at someone, doesn't he? Like at Chelsea, it was what's his who's now at Man United? What's his name? I can't.
Mata.
Yeah, Mata. Yeah, he was always like he just like rocked up and started like laying into him. And now it's the same here, and I don't know like what the end goal is really, because you're just going to put the whole squad offside, which is what he did at Chelsea. So I don't understand his tactics there.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because they've like had incredibly 12 draws, 15. They've only lost 3 games. So, I mean, they've lost less than Chelsea. So it's interesting to see what they do in the transfer window. And I mean, if he can turn some of those draws into win, I mean, he may be laughing next season. But
they just need goals.
He just seems to have such a short lifespan as a manager at each club because
he burns all his bridges. Yeah. He
exactly.
Just burns on everyone.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's been a pretty impressive season from them actually, and really all they need is goals. And from what I understand, one of the rumours was that he's pretty much identified like 3 or 4 strikers, and he's just told, Man United, like, these are the guys we want in order.
Go do it.
Yeah, go do it pretty much.
Yeah.
If you can't get this guy, get this guy. If you can't get him, get the next one.
I think they'll push heavy for Antonio Griezmann.
Yeah, look, they just need goals. And you saw even in the comments there, he was lamenting the fact that Van Gaal got rid of Chicharito, because he's like, he would have been a 20-goal a season player for me off the bench even, and now he doesn't have him, and all of a sudden he doesn't have anyone, and it's all about Ibrahimovic, and if Ibrahimovic isn't scoring, Pogba's not getting enough goals.
He doesn't seem to like Martial, does he?
No, and I think he needs a little bit more time as well. I think that's the thing about Wenger. He doesn't have patience for the younger players. He doesn't have patience to develop anyone. He just wants ready-made players to just slot in and do the job. So I think you'll see Mourinho. If Mourinho hangs around, which he should do next season, then I think they're going to spend big. And like I said, despite all the perceptions, they haven't really been that bad. 3 losses, just a lot of draws. Get a striker, convert those draws into wins, and they could be right back up there next season.
Yeah, definitely second best defense in the league, and I mean they've only lost to 3, so good signs. I expect them to finish in the top 4. To be honest, I think Arsenal, Everton are going to both miss out. Everton's had a good season, but they're just injuries, and their squad's not as good in depth.
No, I think 7th is pretty good for Everton.
It is, yeah.
Let's talk about Arsenal.
I don't know. I don't know what to say anymore. I listen to too many Arsenal podcasts, and they all say the same thing, and I agree with pretty much all of it. And until Arsene Wenger leaves, what is there to say? It's just the club's in disarray.
Now? But what's happening now? Why can't they knock over? Why can't they knock over Crystal Palace?
I mean, from the outside, you'd look and say, well, the players have stopped playing for him.
Is that what it is? They're trying to get him out now?
Yeah, well, I don't think it's like Chelsea with Mourinho, right? Because I don't think Arsene Wenger is like that in terms of the personality.
They don't hate him.
I think they've just stopped listening.
Yeah.
And I think there's massive corrosion inside the club as the players, the boardroom, the staff, and it's been stale for too long. And I mean, maybe they're complacent. They just expect Arsenal get top 4, we don't have to try.
Yeah.
And I think with how good Spurs are and Liverpool are, they've got progressive managers like Klopp and Pochettino, and Man United are coming back. And I mean, you don't just get given top 4.
No.
England is tied. There is a top 6 now, like you've said heaps of times, and it's not their birthright. And Arsenal have given up, and I struggle to see how they finish even top 6. And if the expectation's true that Arsene Wenger signs for another 2 seasons, you have to ask what the fuck is going on, in terms of the boardroom, because how does he get another contract? It makes no sense.
Yeah, because and look, that's the problem when you run a club like a business, basically, that he's good for business, I guess. The fans keep coming out, and I guess as long as he was delivering the top 4, there were no issues. Now the fact that they don't even make the top 4, they miss out on the Champions League money and you lose status when you're not in the Champions League.
You do.
That's what happened to Liverpool. I mean, you ask older people who's the best football club in the world. People still, older people maybe who haven't followed football for a while, they probably just think it's Liverpool. They probably still just think Liverpool's the best club ever, because back in the day it was all about Liverpool. But you ask young people now, they don't. No one follows Liverpool.
Well, you bring up a fantastic point, right? Not just young people, young players.
Yeah,
they don't see Liverpool as that historically successful club.
That's right.
24-year-olds don't see Liverpool that way, and perception does change. You see Man United and Liverpool; they're not getting back into the top 4 so easily. I mean, this season they will, but I mean, they've both struggled. It's not to say that Arsenal spend 100 mil, get a new manager, and just go straight back into the top 4. Like, this could be a 5-year project now to get back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the impact it has on perception, on it financially, on attracting players, like, it's a huge thing.
Yeah, and I think that has to go on Wenger. He's let it slide.
Yeah.
And like you said, you made a good point there as well when you said, look, it's not like Chelsea where the players just really want to get rid of Mourinho and they hate his guts and they want him out. It's just like you said, the message just isn't getting through anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just the same old stuff. And, it's interesting. Like, we criticised Melbourne City a lot, for example, for playing the 3 at the back and all that. But that's the new cutting edge system that everybody's going with, 3 at the back. And it's been a work in progress for Man City as well. And it's cost them points here and there. But like I said, football's evolving, and you're not seeing Arsenal evolve.
I mean, you hear reports saying that the training methods haven't changed for 15 years.
Yeah.
Like what? How does that even happen?
That's right. And look, don't get me wrong, they're still an elite club and they still play
Yeah.
brilliant football, and their training, like Wenger's probably thinking, well, my training regime is the best in the world. Why do I need to change it? But the thing is, when you're at the top, it's about those 1%ers. It's about that little one thing. And that's what you see is that, 5, 7, 10 years ago, whatever it was, when Barcelona emerged on the scene again, all of a sudden, it was all about the tiki-taka and all this sort of stuff.
And before that, it was about fitness and like how, like,
that's
good
right.
teams. Yeah.
And it comes in waves, and now it's changed again, and now it's all about this 3 at the back and stuff like that. So you just got to mix it up a little bit. And like I said, that's hurting Wenger and hurting Arsenal. And it's just going to be interesting to see what happens with them now next season. I mean, I don't know. Like,
there's a clear divide between Ivan Gazidis, he's the CEO, and Arsene Wenger. And the owner, Stan Kroenke, loves Arsene Wenger. So, I mean, there really is only one winner out of this. And I don't know if you saw the fan reaction in the Crystal Palace game, saying that you're not fit enough to wear the shirt and we want you out, Arsene Wenger. And I think the only thing that is going to make him leave is if the home fans collectively say that they want him gone, like in terms of chanting, because Arsene Wenger doesn't calculate or doesn't factor in like social media.
He doesn't feel the pressure. I don't think he even feels the pressure from fans.
No, because there is none inside the ground. Well, it's all outside. It's all external.
Well, they're holding up banners at WrestleMania. Wenger out.
It's a meme. It's everywhere.
The Wenger out for not. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But he, like you said, he doesn't respond to that. He doesn't feel the pressure. He laughs it off. So I think he's just living in a bubble.
It is. Yep.
So
someone needs to come in with a giant axe and like
tough time to be an Arsenal fan.
It is frustrating. I mean, we could talk about this for 20 minutes, but
we're done.
Let's move
Arsenal's
on.
the new FFA.
I know they are. They're evil. The FIFA, they're corrupt. Let's go on. We'll just briefly cover the Champions League. Obviously, Dortmund's game called off because of the explosions. I mean, it's pretty heartbreaking, right? Like, thankfully, nobody was hurt, I don't think. But to see like a team like Dortmund in a town that's relatively safe, to see that happen it's frustrating, right?
But was that hooliganism?
No, like terrorism.
Really?
They didn't you hear it? The game, the Dortmund-Monaco game got called off last night.
But what I'm saying is, was the bus attacked? Was it like a premeditated attack by hooligans?
No, there was like explosions, as in like bombing.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was hurt. I haven't, because I've been at work all day. I haven't actually read the full details, but yeah, they say it was based off like Islamic extremists and all that. Don't know the full details, but yeah, I mean the game got called off. It is on tonight.
Wow.
So hopefully there's no follow up or anything, but. That's
huge. I mean, at first I just thought I saw the headline and I just thought this is one of these like hooligan attacks, because there has been a few of those as well. Attacks on the bus from rival fans and things like that. So I thought it might have been something like that. But yeah, if it's actual terrorism, that's pretty scary.
A lot of the times it gets labelled as something and it isn't. And it's like domestic, so we'll have to see. But with the game last night, Juventus hammering Barcelona. I mean, we saw Barcelona come back against PSG, but I think Juventus are a much more mature, defensively capable team, and I think this might be the end of the road for the Barcelona as we know it.
Yeah, well, I think that's what we were debating last time, wasn't it? We thought, Barcelona, they came back massively before. Can they do it again? Or did that pretty much take everything out of them? And like you said, I think Juventus won't be as naive. They're not just going to park the bus from the get-go in the next round. I think this could be the end of the road and possibly the beginning of the end of the era for them.
Yeah, I think it's like we said, the emergence of tactical defending, counter-attacking, and Barcelona need a reshape, even with their absolutely enormous front three. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's interesting. Going on to the games tonight, how do you think Leicester are going to go against Atletico Madrid? The final England hope?
Look, they're back in form. Look, I mean, things have really turned around for them in the league. You look at, all of a sudden they're up to 11th in the league, and not far off a top 10 spot, really. Whereas a few weeks ago they were looking like relegation battlers. So they've really turned things around. They've been impressive in the Champions League throughout. I give them a chance. I mean, Atletico are a good side, but I give Leicester a chance. I'm assuming they're playing away. So if they can pinch a goal, if they can pinch a goal and they go down maybe 2-1 or something like that, then there's still hope for them.
Yeah, it's just if it's like a 2-0, I think they're done. But if they can score or keep it tight, then they're every chance.
They need to score. To score. I think they're going to find it tough. Atletico are a good side. They're going to be under the pump, Leicester. But, again, Leicester's a team that none of these other teams have ever seen before, and it's something different. And Leicester seem to have rediscovered their old ways a little bit. And I think if they can get a goal, they're well in it for next week or next round.
Yeah. Tonight, fingers crossed. Just your quick prediction. Who do you think will win the tie between Madrid and Bayern Munich?
Oh, that's going to be a cracker. I think Madrid have got to be the favourites, surely.
I think so.
With Ronaldo and Bale and the like. I think Madrid have to be the favourites. Bayern Munich aren't the almighty Bayern that they were even up until a few years ago, I think. Whereas I think Madrid are just as good, and you can't dismiss the Ronaldo factor. So Madrid for me.
Yeah, I think they'll sneak it. We've got obviously the Dortmund Monaco game. It's going to be emotional because of last night. Fingers crossed everything goes well. I think Dortmund will win, but I'm interested to see how Monaco go with their youth team. Very exciting. I think we'll leave it there for this week, unless there's anything else you want to talk about.
No, bring on the long weekend, and bring on the football.
Are you looking forward to the chocolate, or you're not in any?
Oh no, but I've already claimed a few Easter eggs at work and the like. So I'll be knocking off a fair bit of chocolate, I think.
Thank you everyone for listening once again. Hope you have a happy Easter, and you of course can find this podcast at www.theaverageaustralian.com. We're also on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, Patreon, everywhere else. Please do like, subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already. We do appreciate it. We'll be back next week to talk about the finals. Until then, bye-bye.
Bye.